Welcome back, Last Request Barbecue Show. Today, a South Texas classic. So, shout out all those phrases to Smokin Joe's Pit Barbecue. Check that site out, watch his videos. Fantastic guy. He did a Carne Guisada.
Carne Guisada.
And I never heard of that. Of course, I'm not from South Texas. I'm pretty far from South Texas, actually. Joe and I were chitting and chatting, and he said, well, what would you do with such a traditional meal? So I looked at Joe's recipe, I looked at a few others, got some ideas, and as it happens, I was cooking with brisket. So I'm gonna do not just carne guisada with like a flank steak, I'm using bison. So this is part of the bison brisket that I cut off for my other Bison Part 2 episode. So we're gonna use that. It's a fairly long cook, it's about a 5-hour cook. Not a lot of work to it, but it takes some time, so budget in some time. So we're gonna put in the bison, we're gonna put in some spices. This one's gonna be featuring the Bearded Butcher's original OG, because it's got a lot of the spices that everyone seems to be using. It's got salt, of course, it's got paprika, celery, garlic, onion, and then I'm gonna add in cumin. There's lots of cumin that goes in this recipe, and a few other surprises. So let's get going. It's a hot day out. It's another hot day out, so again, thanks to Bearded Butchers for that I'm now using with my Guru, which is a nice, good for you energy drink. Love the taste. Enough of all that. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Like. Let's get started. All right, let's get started. So these are the parts of the bison brisket. Thank you, Kelly from Noble Bison, for sending that amazing brisket. So I cut off pieces of the bison brisket, and I'm going to cut these up. Now I'm doing it on the same day. So this is actually the same board I cut up the bison. So it's got a few spices from the black and from Brock, just kind of scattered on here. I'm not too worried about that. But let's cut this up now into cubes. Nice sized cubes with my Dale-Strum knife here. We'll be cooking today in my cast iron pot. Like I said, it's about a 5-hour cook, and all homage. I hope I don't embarrass or offend anybody in South Texas with this version. It's pretty close, I think. And I'm super keen to taste the sweeter bison meat versus some of the beef meat. So anyway, cut these into cubes, as I said, 1 inch by 1 inch, because we're going to be searing them, right? We'll be browning these to get us started. And to brown them, I'm going to use some of my bison tallow that is right now preparing on the yoder. So my bison is on the yoder, as I said, and it's just melting out, and that's going to be my base. Nothing's going to waste in this brisket. So there this one here, I think I got a bit too much fat that's not going to be enjoyed. There we go. Not much, bison is such a lean meat. There we go, beautiful. All right, as the Bearded Butchers do, you move around your bison. So we got a nice starting point. All right, that's our starting point. So let's get our cast iron on and going, and let's get these browned up. All right, I've got our cast iron here is literally smoking hot. We've got our tallow from the bison, which is melted down a little bit, enough to give me some tallow for this recipe. So let's just pour some of that in. Yeah. I might pour a little bit in. I'm going to continue to render that. And let's get our meat in here and start browning it up. Smells amazing. Now we're going to want to move that around a fair bit just so it doesn't stick, but we want a nice brown crust on it before we get going. I think this is the perfect amount of meat here. Loving it. All right, so let that get brown. All right, let's take a look and see how we are doing. Oh, our bison has browned up nicely. Turn a few of these around there. Looking good. Now what I want to do is add in, at this point, some onions to our
Carne Guisada.
And let those cook in. What's that? Get rid of that. All right, get that going. Let those kind of sweat out for a few minutes. Push that back in. Be right back. All right, our onion has been rendering down. Again, every YouTube chef says this, but it smells just amazing. In my version, the Toronto version of the
Carne Guisada.
All right, so now let's add in some spices. So the main star of this is from the Bearded Butchers, their OG original. You can get this in Canada at All Barbecues Canada, so let's add in a couple of tablespoons for sure of this. It's got all the key ingredients we're looking for, not all, but a bunch. So there we go. That's about 2 tablespoons. Good, good, good. Into that we add in about a tablespoon of pepper. maybe a little bit more, and 2 tablespoons of cumin. I actually grind my own cumin now. I get the cumin seeds. I haven't been doing this for my whole life, but I got a coffee grinder, clean it up, and use it exclusively for spices. And it just makes for amazing fresh spices. So there we go. There's our spices. Now to this, we're also going to add 4 cups of water. There we go. We just want to cover the meat. There we go. Now let's give this all a stir. We want all of that meat to just be covered up just underneath in the pool. Everybody in the pool, that's a perfect amount. Actually, just shy of 4 cups. And we're going to bring that now to a boil. And then we'll put the top on and we'll let it simmer for about an hour and a half. And then we'll come back and there's a few more things that we're going to do and put in. But we'll bring this to a boil and then we will cover, let simmer for about an hour and a half. Well, we're an hour into our
Carne guisada.
cook. And let's take a look. By the way, that is the voice of Joe. He says it so much better than me. So by the way, all props to Smokin Joe for the inspiration for this recipe. All right, let's take a look. Oh my goodness, that looks and smells just amazing. That's coming along quite nicely. All right, so let's give it up a bit of a stir first. Good. Good. And let's add in some multicolored peppers. Very nice. Sweet peppers mostly. As you can see, red, orange, and kind of off green. We'll keep that going. And then we're actually going to now mix in a little bit of water and flour to start thickening it up. So I've got a half cup of water here. So I'm going to add in some flour. And this is ordinary flour. If you watch Joe's version of this and the folks of South Texas, they're using a tortilla flour, but I don't have that. So this is an all-purpose. So we'll just mix some of this in to start thickening up. I'm going to put in half in at a time. So I don't want it to cool it off. There we go. Put in about half. Now let's give that a stir. Already you can see that thickening up very nicely. Beautiful. All right. Now let's give a little more water and a little more flour because we want this all to thicken up quite nicely, and it'll thicken up over time. And we'll keep an eye on that because, you know, it is my first time making.
Carne guisada.
Now that's thickening up. Very nice. Very nice. All right, so we're going to keep that in the pan. We're going to cover it up and put it back on for at least another hour, if not longer. We'll check it in an hour and see how it's going. But for now, let's stick it back into the Crown Verity. All right, we are in the home stretch for our
Carne guisada.
Let's take a look. Oh my goodness. Now, my executive chef, Emmett, has already been out and taste tested it. He proclaimed it a little spicy, and I'm like, where did the spice come from? Why is it a little spicy? You know, I put a bit too much pepper in, so it's got a real kick to it, and that's good. I like it spicy. We all like it spicy, but unfortunately, my mom does not like it spicy, so this will not be good. Maybe we'll put some potatoes in it tomorrow, and that'll take up some of the pepper. So all the spice, the super flavor, a bit too much pepper. Now, last thing to go in is fire roasted tomatoes. Now, Joe, in his recipe, he put in a can of these. I roasted them myself. So I put them on the Yoder and just finished them up here on the Crown Verity. So these are fresh from my father-in-law's garden. These are as fresh as you can get right from the garden and just fire roasted right here. So let's give that a stir. Amazing, amazing, amazing. We'll let those dissolve. I'm gonna now start cooking with the top off. Let a little bit of that sauce kind of evaporate for another 15 minutes, and then we'll be good to go. All right, our
Carne guisada.
has been sitting, resting comfortably. The aroma is so fantastic. Check that out. Check that out. I don't know if I've done, hopefully, I've done South Texas proud. Now I'm gonna spoon some up and take them to some neighbors so they could give it a try, to be neighborly and all. All my neighbors are always wondering what I'm cooking because they could smell the deliciousness. So let's get some delicious chunks of bison in there, the fire roasted tomatoes, all the different gravy. I'll suggest they cook it with some rice, potatoes even. There we go. Bon appetit, everyone. That's my carne guisada. Hopefully, like I said, I've done South Texas proud.